The size of the problem you solve is directly related to the amount of income you can earn. I was on a podcast recently and we're sharing this little snippet, and it's going to give you 3 valuable insights. The first insight is you're only going to get so many paychecks, and what you do with them matters, so saving becomes important. The second insight is that the skills that you will grow will determine the amount of money you are able to make. And the third insight is actually why I went into sales, to get an uncapped earning potential. If I have to really think hard, 94, 95, you're talking about, South Africa came out of massive interest rates. Interest rates here spiral to 18, 19, 20%. And you see the average person struggling. Petrol stations used to close at like 5, 6, so you couldn't get petrol at night, you couldn't get petrol on weekends.
Wow.
And I just looked at all these people working, and I think it was, of all people, I think it was a Liberty Life ad back then that said, do you understand that you're going to get 12 paychecks a year, right? And over those 12 paychecks, as your earnings increase, you're going to get them for 30 years. So now you're 65-ish. You've got to take that and stretch those 12 paychecks with what you've saved for the rest of your life until the day you die. And that just resonated with me.
The noodle month wasn't carried.
Put it that way.
And you're gonna do 30 days a month for somebody for a 1-day paycheck that the government takes a large portion of, VAT takes a large portion of, your bills take a large portion of, and the harder you work, you don't generally get more. You end up begging a boss for a raise. Hopefully they see your skill set. The minute you want to leave because there's a better opportunity, they're like, oh, you're not loyal. The system made no sense to me. Still doesn't make sense to me.
So you had this epiphany or something like that, and then what do you do? What do you do about it?
Well, when I lost everything coming out of Lesotho, I was my 20s. I moved back to Joburg and I looked in the papers for a business. And I was like, I can't afford a business now. I've got no money. So I looked at what sales job could I take on, because that becomes uncapped. What I put in, I get out.
Okay.
I'm not restricted by, hey, you got to work 40 to 45 hours a week and this is all you get. And my dad said, go into computers.
Yeah.
And there was a GM of a shop available for Hilton Wiener. There were a few. And
is this just going through the classifieds, or
back then,
you're actually taking a newspaper, going at the back of it, looking at the classifieds?
And there was an IT job posted, and the guy said, come see me on Saturday. And I had no computer experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I went, and they liked me. Saturday morning, they wanted to interview me at 7:30. Extremely hardworking guys.
Yeah.
And they told me on the Wednesday I didn't get the job. Okay. I was like, okay, but I'm still going to carry on looking. The following Monday, they phoned me and they said, come and work. We know you've got no experience. You don't know anything about computers at this level, bar playing a game or two. But the lady we gave the job to worked for 2 days, hated the environment, and hasn't come back.
Yeah.
But we like your attitude.
Wow, they told you that.
That is cool.
Yeah. And they said, this is why you're being picked. And the guy's name was Julian Milner. He was the sales manager. And the minute I walked in, you kind of realize how much money you can make in technology. It's so scalable, everything dependent on it, even back then. And I told myself, I'm going to work hard enough until I own a share of this company. And I did.
What was the job, actually?
Sales.
So what do you have to sell?
Computers, servers, desktops, notebooks, infrastructure.
Okay.
Wi-Fi was just starting, but most of the things were network cabled.
Sure.
Funny story. So I get there and they give me some sales training, and I'm like, okay, I know how to sell. I've been selling my own stuff for a while. Yeah. And they're like, okay, cool. You understand how to build relationships. You know how to understand the product. I was like, yes. So now they put me behind a computer and they say, here's a book. You got a telephone book and you got a phone. This company, that company. And I started. And the one company said, pure cold calling. Mm. And I cold call 10 customers a day, almost till the day I stopped being in sales, moving up to sales manager, sales director, becoming a shareholder. I was always looking for the next bigger customer to let go of the smaller customer.
Right.
So if I can find a bigger customer, I can let go of 3 smaller customers, and then you constantly work your way up. So you constantly increase your earnings. If you enjoyed that snippet, you can actually watch the full podcast right here.